she did them, and I was aware she did them, and I just didn't know how to stop her from doing perks, and I kept warning her about fentanyl because I have a lot of friends that lost their kids. So I'm part of that club now. And I used to beg her, and tell her, please stop taking them. You don't know what's in them. In my daughter's case, is she didn't OD. For people that don't know the story, she was murdered by fentanyl. This is a picture of my daughter for the people that never seen her.
And I can't say it enough times. Do not accept anything from anyone you don't know. And even if you do know them, don't accept it unless you know what it is and where it's come from. And
I would say at my worst, I was probably taking between 30, 35, sometimes maybe 40 a day.
If anything, the way I look at it is like Sopranos saved me. When I would think like, man, what are you doing to yourself? It would be a lot easier for me to go like, stop doing this. Look at what your life could be, instead of what a lot of my friends were dealing with. And, I think it's 5 of my friends who I brought to the premieres of The Sopranos are dead now.
I had my own battle with addiction as well. The Vicodin and Percocet, that was the thing. Never, I didn't do heroin, or it wasn't coke or anything else. It was Vicodin and Percocet.
By 2005, I was a full-blown heroin addict and a crack cocaine addict.
And even people with the worst kind of mental illness have a chance if they have the capacity to be honest with themselves. The reality is we've been lying to ourselves with every drink we put in our mouth, or every puff we take, or every pill that we pop, or whatever we're doing. And then we wonder why people get pissed off at us, but we don't see that it's what we're doing. It's not my mother, my father, my brother, my uncle, my sister. No, it's me too.
The consequences are too severe for me. The damage I've done to my health, it's a fucking miracle. Nothing short of a miracle that I am still alive. So, if I can do it, any of you can do it.
When people suffer from alcoholism or drug addiction, there must come a moment when your life totally crashes. For me, that moment came when the pain was too great and the consequences were too profound. Only then did I decide to change. Recovery and sobriety is all about change, and for me, it started when I woke up in a grimy hotel room in a shitty little town in Pennsylvania. And so, if you want a new life and start a new journey of a lifetime, you've come to the right place. You want to drink? That's your business. You want to stop drinking? That's our business. Welcome to Recovery Tube.
Hey guys, we're back. The lady is here, with my mom. I talked about it on the last show, so I'll just try to be as quiet as possible. And I did switch glasses since last show. How do you like me now? I could just do that. I'm the man. I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to start with today, but I will tell you something. Let me do some shout outs first, and I'll tell you about something I saw last night. And I can't even remember where I saw it. Big shocker, right? I can't even remember where I saw it, but it's kind of stuck in my head. Sally, no ma'am, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Dave, Michael Hensley, we love you too. And that's it. That's it. Thank you, Miss Can't Be Wrong. I've actually had these in a drawer for a very long time. I have so many different sets of glasses. I should just gather them all up, and just have them here in a pile. And I could change into different ones whenever. Chris Capello, good afternoon. Sven Larson, hey, there you go. There's 2 more guys. We're up to 12. It's crazy. These shows used to, we used to have between 60 and 100 people on every show, but it'll get back to that. It will. A lot of time off from these addiction recovery shows caused that. So, anyway, I saw something last night Mandingo Feet McCarthy. Hey, FPS. I don't even want to put your comment up on screen just because of the name, but OA is a serious program too. Overeaters suffer plenty, especially since you have to eat to survive. Are you being serious? I'm not sure if you're fucking around. I don't know. I mean, of course it is. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. Alex Fajigadaja, nice to see you. And thank you so much for that very generous donation. You saved the show. I made a decent amount thanks to that big donation. So, anyway, I never understood, eating disorders as addictions. Maybe that's a good place to start. I don't know if anybody in here has had one. If so, let me know. But I never understood that because to me, that was something like it's different from every other addiction. You're not putting a substance into your body. I mean, food, yeah, but there's nothing mind altering. There's nothing addictive about it, that like all of a sudden your body behaves a certain way in your mind based on whether or not you've eaten a lot or a little. I never understood that, but apparently a lot of people suffer from it. Thank you, Miss Campion. So I have to, believe that it's, an addiction. It's just one of those things oh, you did, Miss Campion? Oh, wow. Is there any chance, and you don't have to, no pressure, is there any chance you'd want to talk about that on here? Oh, wow, 95 pounds. My God. Do you really, Miss Campion? That's nice. Chris Archilla, what up? If I didn't already shout you out, which I probably did. Mandingo Feet McCarthy. I'm an overeater, by the way. I can't change my name for 2 weeks on YouTube. Okay. So you're not acting like Tony Pizza being an overeater. You're being serious in this chat? Because I don't know. It's a substance when you go on. Let me take that off. The fucking name. It's a substance when you go on binges and eat just to eat. Serious weight gain and health issues too. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I still don't see it as like I'm putting a mind-altering substance into your body. I guess, listen, because I didn't understand it, and I still don't really. I always kind of saw it as it's just a choice. It's something somebody's doing, to reach a certain goal rather than, something that's taking over your mind and body and now, controls you as a person. But like I said, I don't understand it. So you guys know better than me. I'm an overeater, FBS, very up and down over the years. Okay, bro. Well, then welcome. I'm glad you're here. And maybe we'll talk about that. You can come on if you want. I still want to have just put a different name up when you come on. Miss Can't Be Wrong. She might want to join. I don't know. We'll see. I was never a binge eater. So what is it exactly? Because like I said, it's bulimia and anorexia, right? So one, I never quite understood the two or the differences between the two. I guess one is you starve yourself and you intentionally you do everything in your power, I guess, to lose as much weight as possible. And bulimia is constantly feeding yourself, but then you vomit it out. Is that correct? Okay, I'll drop the link, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Then I want to talk about fentanyl because of this thing I saw last night. Although the thing about fentanyl is I never really understand. Like, I mean, it's hard for me to have that conversation because one, I don't know much about it. But two, it seems to me like a never-ending issue that's here to stay. And sometimes I have to wonder to myself if it's population control or why it's happening, because I can assure you the government doesn't give a fuck. And I don't care who's in office. I don't care. Okay. It's not something Trump wants to solve. Biden doesn't seem to be doing anything about it. Nobody cares. Like I said, I wonder if it was actually put here deliberately, which would obviously mean that the people who put it here or allow it to be here just don't care about the issue. They actually they have a goal, and this is what they're using to reach it. Let's see. Hello, Miss Can't Be Wrong.
Hey, how you
I
doing?
wish good. I wish I could get my earbuds to work. They were dead. I was trying to use them on the last show. The sound all fucked up because I didn't have them. So I charged them, but I still don't think they're working.
Oh,
And
let's
that,
try it and see. You got them in?
yeah, I got one in now. For
Oh,
some
okay.
reason, it's not. I don't know, but
Connecting.
we'll just do it without it. It's all right. It's no problem.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, as far as the eating disorder, there's anorexia, there's bulimia. There's a couple of different types, like the kind like Karen Carpenter had that she died from. She sang it, was a singer in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
She had a severe case till finally hers was so bad till finally she just starved herself to death. Her system started shutting down, shut itself down. She had a heart attack from it. Eventually the starvation and stuff like that starts happening. But yeah, I was never a binge eater as a teenager. My dad used to tease me. I was, like pudgy as a little kid, and he would tease me. Well, as I started getting older, I started taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And he would tell me, you can't lose weight. My dad was something else about that type of shit, just teasing me, and I took it more serious than I should have. So I was like, well, I'll show you. And pretty quick, when I was 18, I was like, I got my lowest weight was like 90 pounds, 95 pounds.
Jesus Christ.
And you look in the mirror, and no matter how small you get, you look in the mirror and you don't see that. You see something totally different. Your brain tells you something totally different.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like body dysmorphia, isn't it?
Yep. You see this big, huge person looking back at you when in reality, your face is sunken in and, you're not looking, but you still see something totally different. It sucks. It took me a long time to get over it, and some therapy, but never. I was throwing up, purging, It's gross. Yeah. But
Okay, so wait a minute. So let me ask now. So with anorexia, you do what? You just starve yourself, right?
yeah. But with the I think with the anorexia, neuroses, some of the other stuff too, there's binge eating and then back and forth where I seen girls where their parents had to literally lock up the food.
Wow. So, but there is that, do they binge eat and then vomit? Is that bulimia?
Yes, they'll
Okay.
binge eat, vomit, binge eat, vomit, binge eat, vomit, and I'm serious. Their whole world. I'm serious. Their parents have to lock up the food. They'll go buy food. Their whole existence is eating and throwing up, eating and throwing up, eating and throwing up. The one girl couldn't even go to college because of it.
Jesus.
It's really bad. Like a couple of the interventions, like the one girl was like throwing up in her room and yes, this is gross, but she was throwing up in her room and like hiding it.
Oh God, that's disgusting.
Yeah. These people, that's a bridge too far. I won't do any of that. Mine was just more like not eating, mine never got that severe. My parents caught it and, and handled it pretty quick.
Well,
But
that's good.
Yeah. Anorexia is to starve yourself. Bulimia is the binge eating. Yeah, Jesse, that's right. Mine was more anorexia than it was the bulimia.
Okay, so bulimia, what's the goal with bulimia? Like anorexia, the goal is obviously to become
It's still
lose as much
the
weight as
same, but I think bulimia, there's a lot more control in there.
Really?
I think it's a more of a control thing. You're controlling how much you're eating. That's the crazy thing to me. I don't know how anybody could just want to throw up like that.
Yeah, me neither. And not to mention, people get esophageal cancer and everything else from that shit.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It happens with alcoholics too, from all the heaving and stuff. And
Yeah, it destroys you. Like, it's just, I feel bad for people. Like I said, I seen it on Intervention with this college age girl, and it was just getting to the point. Her family had put her in facilities, but the problem is she was grown, once she got in college, and you can't make them do it then. And it was just sad, just so sad.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of things out there. There's so many different types of addictions and stuff. But I've spoken to people about these eating disorders. I just never really. I don't know. I guess it's still hard for me to differentiate the two.
Right,
because
and then there's
the
the plain and simple, overeaters.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. And
I'm
food,
sure.
food can definitely be. There's no doubt that food is addictive. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah. Oh yeah, because look at it like this, like with alcohol. Food, we celebrate, many of our celebrations revolve around food.
Yeah.
Like the holidays, 4th of July, Christmas, all of that. So, like alcohol is holiday, same thing. So, and a lot of these channels that these girls will be eating and guys will be paying them to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. What is that? Mukbangs and shit, right?
Yeah, there's this one girl that has a channel. I wish I could think of the name of it.
I might have seen her. Somebody told me about a girl who, and I went and checked it out.
Yeah, poor thing, eats. Well, finally, she decided she'd had enough of being that big and decided that she wants to change her life and have that surgery. And her boyfriend left her.
Wow.
Yep. There's some crazy people in this.
Why
world.
did he left her? Because she didn't want to.
Because she didn't want to keep eating and keep being big.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? I think I heard about this chick.
Yeah,
The guy wanted her real fat, like in like 500-600 pounds or something, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And she decided. Yes, I've seen this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, way to go. I was like, way to go. And then, talking about addictions, plastic surgery and stuff can be an addiction. These girls on TikTok and Twitter with the gigantic, huge asses. I mean, not Kim Kardashian big. I mean, big, where it looks stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt plastic surgery, because you look at some of these people like Mickey Rourke, or other ones, many women, they've destroyed their faces with this. Meg
Ryan. Remember how pretty she was back in the day, and like You Got Mail and all of her movies.
Yeah.
Now she destroyed herself.
I got to see her.
Yeah, she did. Meg Ryan, check her out. Yep. Renee Zellweger, same thing. Destroyed herself. Nicole Kidman, all of them did. It's just like,
oh my God, Meg Ryan doesn't even look like Meg Ryan anymore.
Told you. And there's I come across it's a plastic surgeon's office, and it's a female plastic surgeon, and all the girls are pretty, but the last one of them in the place have messed with their face, even the 20-year-olds. I'm like, you guys didn't have nothing to put Botox in? Yep.
That's insane.
Yep. She totally ruined herself, because back in the day she was just naturally pretty.
Oh yeah,
and like beautiful. I say, Nicole Kidman too.
These people, you know what it is? I'm going to tell you a lot of what it is. In Hollywood, your youth is your ticket, to these, getting these roles and stuff like that, and your youthful look. Older actresses, there's only so many, that have had real longevity,
right?
When it comes to acting and their movie career and stuff. But these actresses, I think, are so used to hearing that, and they're so aware of it, that once they start to see any wrinkles or anything like that, they feel like they're starting to look old. They do everything they can to stop it. Like Jennifer Aniston even did some plastic surgery, and I think she looks different. Me and Shanna watched her in a movie recently, and I was like, it doesn't even look like Jennifer Aniston anymore.
Right, and I thought she was aging just fine, honestly. And like in that last movie,
one of the sexiest women in the world, even getting older, like unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah,
but she Not just her. That's what they do, I think, with Hollywood. Is they try to stop their aging so they can keep getting these roles so they look as good as they did when they were younger and stuff. And all it never. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who've had plastic surgery, we don't even realize it. They still look great or even better. But when they keep doing it and doing it and doing it, it's like you're fucking your whole face up. You're doing so much damage that can never be repaired. Never be repaired.
Scary. Yeah, it gets scary, and the men are starting to do it now. There was a time when men weren't doing it. Now, like the men, like Brad Pitt, I'll give you Brad Pitt. He's starting to look like an with the surgery, an older woman instead of an older man. It's stupid looking. It looks like he's got a rubber face.
See, I don't look at a lot of these people because I don't. We watch movies every now and then, but not a lot of new stuff, older movies, and I don't watch TV, so I don't see a lot of these people, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's just it's a shame what people do to themselves. The perfect example is Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
You remember how he was a good-looking guy, remember? He was like a sex symbol type of guy. Women loved him. He got old after old because of it. You know what he looks like now? Have you seen him?
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
he looks like. Watch this, Mickey Rourke then and now.
He was hot back then, like when he played on 9.5 Weeks with. Did you ever see that movie, by the way?
No, I never saw 9.5 Weeks.
Oh my God, watch it with Shanna. That's a movie you got to watch with Shanna. I swear, watch it with Shanna.
I will.
Well, I'm serious. Watch it with Shanna now. It's a good romantic movie, but watch it with her when you got a quiet house.
You're gonna make me watch a chick flick, Miss Campy?
No, it's not a chick flick. I'm telling you, just watch it. Just watch it.
All right, I will. Guys, check this out. That's Mickey Rourke then and now. That's insane. I mean, I don't know why people do it to themselves. Miss Campion, can you take over for just like a minute and a half? I'll be right back.
Yeah, go do what you got to do.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, how many of you guys in here have seen 9.5 Weeks? It was a great, it was a good movie. Really good movie. I know Jesse's seen it. I know you've seen it. Brooklyn, you've probably seen it too. But yeah, the plastic surgery, I totally believe can be an addiction. Some of these people just get addicted to it, just doing stuff to their face and keep trying to keep up with what everybody else is doing. But yeah, it's an addiction just like everything else is. Just like food, just like shopping. There's a lot of, I've seen something on TV, a lady on TV years ago who had a really bad shopping addiction, and she had just storage units full of stuff she bought just for no reason. Yeah, see, Dale, that's why I told him to watch it with Shanna, because that's the kind of movie it is. And he probably thought I was it being a chick flick and that it would make you cry. No, it's not that. It's not that kind of movie at all. It's a steamy movie. It's good though if you watch it with somebody you want to get steamy with. Kurt Russell looks good. He didn't do any surgeries, but now his significant other, Goldie Hawn, did, and she did an interview here. It's been several years ago now, and admitted herself that maybe that cost her some roles, because people don't want a woman that they know is grandma age but looks like that. So yeah. I'm trying to think what other guy. I always liked Tommy Lee Jones, great actor, and he never did anything to his face. Let's see. There's Tommy Lee Jones. There's another. What's that other guy's name that is an older actor that didn't do anything? There's several of the. Yeah.
Listen to this, Miss Campion.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Speaking of this, because you brought up plastic surgery and we're talking about, all these different issues. This isn't related so much or at all to eating disorders or anything like that, but semi related to plastic surgery. So I went to the ENT yesterday, and a lot of my issues, you remember it took me a year to even get a fucking appointment. I had one. This is my follow-up appointment. So
the hole in your nose.
yeah, the giant hole in my septum from cocaine, causing me all types of sinus issues. You guys see me, this shit all the time. So I go to the doctor yesterday because, what they did is they gave me like a saline solution and a decongestant last time. I went, so this was a follow-up to see how they're working. They're working okay, but, not really. I like Vicks sinus spray is better, but you can't use that all the time. You got to make it even worse. So anyway, I go to the doctor yesterday to talk about this and see what, I was going to say, okay, maybe because they said maybe we could do the surgery, whatever. The doctor tells me he doesn't want no part of doing that surgery. He said, when it comes to that, it's extremely difficult, and he would refer me to Johns Hopkins.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's where he would send for that. And that's the facial plastic surgery that it would take. That's what he said, in order to fix it and stuff. But and this is disgusting, guys, but this goes to show it's an addiction recovery show. If you never want to go through something like this or have to deal with this option, don't do cocaine or snort meth or heroin or anything else. He offered me a button, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Have you seen this shit? It's like it's like this round. Now, first of all, I said to him, "Is that how big the hole is?" He said, "It's not quite that big, but it's pretty close." Which,
holy moly!
Yeah, that blew my mind because he had just got done looking at my nose. He goes and gets this button. It's this little clear plastic thing. There's two sides to it. Basically, you got to put it in your nostrils and button it together to fill that hole. I said, no fucking way, doctor. Am I digging in my fucking nose and putting shit in there? And he's like, he said, well, there's these magnets too. That's what I like. You could use these magnets. You snap together and you take them out every now and then and wash them. I said, Doc, if I don't make this worse, will I be okay the rest of my life? I'll just have to deal with sinus issues and stuff, but I'll be okay. He said, yeah. I said, okay, I'll go with that. I'm not doing that shit.
Well, have you ever seen a nose job? Like, ever watched a video or anything of how nose jobs are done?
No, I never really paid attention. I never looked at anything like that.
I got to see a nose job one time. And when that was enough for me right there, my nose would have to be jacked up in a major way. They'd get on your damn nose with that hammer and go to hammering with a chisel to re-break it, to put it all back together. Good God Almighty.
Jesus.
Well, I think it's a good, no wonder people are so sore and all when they wake up.
Yeah, I think I'm just pretty much stuck with this issue, and but that's what made me think of it, is to talk about plastic surgery. But we can go back to that.
Well, now,
go ahead.
A friend of mine a longtime friend of mine has the same thing, did the same thing to her nose Artie Lang did.
Are you serious?
She's had to have a bunch of surgeries behind it, and oh my God, for the same reason. She was on drugs really, really bad and messed her nose up.
Well, Artie likes to say that he snorted glass. I guess I don't know, he was breaking up some Coke or something with a salt shaker, some shit like that, and the glass broke, and he got the glass in his nose, and it caused an infection or something, because his nose is completely gone. That's my nightmare.
Well, she tried to tell me that she was playing with the dog, and the dog jumped up and scratched her nose, and she got an infection in it. No, you didn't. You were snorting stuff that God knows where it had been, and it messed you up. It infected her face bad, and that's what the result was. Same thing his was.
That's crazy. You look
and
at
now she, she hated her nose before, but at least she had one. Now she's like him. It looks like you can't even describe it. And when you go do these drugs and you're buying it from these people, they don't have the cleanest hands when they're stepping all over it and repackaging it for you.
Hell no. Not just that, but we've all used dollar bills and shit to snort. I mean, you're talking about the dirtiest object on planet Earth, currency, paper money. I mean, it's been through machines, it's been through 80 billion different people's hands, and you put this shit in your nose. And a lot of the time when you do coke or anything like that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
bleed
Yeah.
bleed in there. So now
Yeah.
you're putting all this bacteria and all these germs and this, there's everything from
Yeah. Yep.
feces, the traces of everything, putting
Yep.
it in your nose, and there's a
Yep.
good chance your nose is already bleeding on top of it. You know, and it's like, that's how desperate though
Yeah.
drug
Yeah.
addicts get. They'll use any fucking, that's why, heroin addicts, they'll use dirty needles. They don't care as long as
Yeah.
they get that shit in them. You know what I mean? They don't care.
Yeah. It's crazy to imagine doing that, but you're right. They'll do it. They will do it.
I told you, I worked with a kid at the place Stauffer's and the factory, and he was a real bad heroin addict who was in recovery. And he told me that he used his own piss one time to shoot up. He also said that he was at a convenience store, something. He just copped dope from somebody. There was no, I don't know how the fuck he wasn't able to access water. He was at a convenience store. I don't know, but he used motor oil from the parking lot. He was so desperate,
Oh, my.
to mix up the dope, to cook it so he can get it into his arm. I mean, holy shit.
Couldn't be patient to get somewhere.
No, I mean,
Oh.
I've heard some real fucking, horror stories when it comes to that. It's insane. People need a fix and they're in so much pain. They're suffering. It's like, and that's why, like I said, so many people use dirty needles. They're not, what are they going to do? Wait around till they find a clean one? Of course not.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, it goes to like up in Toronto and places like that. I think they might have started it in Seattle too, where they do the needle exchange and passing out clean needles, and they have places where you can go in and get water and all of that in Toronto.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, those
Shooting
places,
galleries, I guess that's what I would call it, but
they
it's
call
not.
them, I forget, there's a name for them, they call them.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a good thing, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that way if somebody starts to overdose, there's people in there too.
Yeah,
I think they have
absolutely.
Narcan in there too, but yeah, they have all the stuff. That way it's disease control, in my opinion, AIDS and all that.
Yeah, one of those countries, I don't know if it's Switzerland, Sweden, something like that. You can go and they have these places. You just go, you could sit down, you get
Toronto.
everything you
Yep.
need. Is that where it is?
Toronto
yeah,
has them too. It's like a little divider, little petitions in between each one.
yeah. And you
Yep.
sit there and you get everything you need and you shoot up. And like you said, if anything happens, there's people there. But at the very least, it's lowering the age rate. You know what I mean? It
Right.
has to, because it's it gives people a way to do it safely.
Right. There was a time when I would say, oh, no, that's just encouraging it. But no, it's not. It's encouraging, if you're going to do it, be clean.
Yep.
Because people are going to do it anyway. So,
Yeah, no matter what. And then, again, it's one of those countries. I always talk about this. They got it set up so that you actually go see a doctor and you sit there and you shoot pure dope, pure heroin.
Yep.
None of the cut and all that shit that, they use to, because that's how fentanyl and a lot of other shit winds up in it. It fucks you all up. You shoot pure heroin. And, you have everything you need, again, all that stuff, and you're under a doctor's supervision. It's
Wow.
Imagine that a drug problem got so bad that they had to kind of, almost in a way, legalize it just to keep people safe from it. Because if you could sit in a doctor's office and do it, I don't know, that's pretty close to being legal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a girl in New Orleans that she got a whole bunch of people to sponsor her doing it, but she rides around on a bicycle, her and a couple of other people, and that giving drug addicts, little baggies with the work stuff in it, the rig stuff.
they do that in Kensington.
Yep,
They'll show up maybe once a day and pass out all the clean works, and they'll give you a fentanyl test kit.
Yeah.
They give them out now. So you pour your dope in it, you know what I mean? Or at least a little bit of it, see if there's fentanyl in it. And then you're safe. But a lot of these people don't care. I mean, I was watching a thing in Kensington recently. It's I forget what drug it is now. If it's that trank dope.
Stuff. Yeah. I think
That's
so.
eating people's body parts away. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. They had this guy who, I mean, his leg was so, it was blown up like a balloon, and it was just sores and pus and oozing, and it was disgusting. And he told the woman, like, I don't know, he said something like he can't get help for it, but chances are he wasn't looking for it. And you could tell that this leg needed to be amputated. There was no doubt. You know, he kept saying it was getting higher and higher, like you could see the infection spreading and shit. And it's,
An idea I had is healthcare. You know, you have to have a lot of money to do this or people get behind you. But that's what I wanted to do, is try to start some nonprofit clinics in those areas that has nurses in it, medical personnel, where people can come in and get, because those people don't get looked at properly.
yeah.
And maybe if there's a place they could just come into like that, I would love to get something like that started. But, I'm not rich and don't know rich people, but, in those areas to help them get maybe healthcare, rehab, whatever,
I bet you with this little community, we could figure something out.
But that would be cool, in places like Kensington, to have something set up where there is somebody that can look at these people, like maybe a retired doctor, nurses, things like that, because there are grants to get stuff like that started.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Gemini 44 was doing something like that. You remember her?
Yeah. Yep.
What it wasn't necessarily that, but what she was doing is she was going around to fire departments.
Yep.
Yeah, she was getting people to start carrying Narcan, fire departments, stuff like that weren't already carrying it. And that was like her mission.
Right. Try to teach these people, if they're going to be doing this stuff, how to take care of themselves, how to take care of their own wounds and stuff. Proper, first aid techniques to look after themselves. Something, I don't know. But, and like I say, other things, maybe if they wanted to go get help, somebody there to direct them to the right program, rehab,
Yeah.
There's not enough of that in the bigger areas.
No, of course not. Let me read some comments here. He snorted glass, and right around the same time he got punched because he owed a bookie money. Yeah, that's his story. FBS, your nose doesn't look too jacked up. We've gotten used to it, my dude. Bro, I used to have the perfect fucking nose. Perfect. Now, I was telling the doctor yesterday, like, I don't know if I always preferred my left nostril. I don't know why. This is true. And I got a situation now where, like, it's all eaten away over here, but then on this side, it's kind of not. So if you really look at my nose in a mirror, like, it comes out a little bit on this side and it's flat over here. And you know me, the way I am about everything, OCD, everything's got to be even and perfect. It drives me insane. But listen, it's the price of what I did to myself. It just is. Chris Archilla said that's why needle exchange is a good thing. If someone is super dope sick, they share. Yeah, they do. I mean, what do you mean they share? What's he mean, Miss Campion? Like other people there?
Well, like if people don't have like a clean needle, they'll share their needle with someone. That's what he means. They'll share their needle.
I got you.
Yeah, or just just use any needle they can find.
Yeah. They share needles if they're super dope sick. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Chris Archilla, I was in rehab with a guy who used creek water and he got a bad infection, I'm sure. Let's see. Needle exchange gives you the whole needle exchange gives you the cooker, cotton, the whole package. That's good. Wise Guy TV. I was in rehab where a kid who had Hep C was taking interferon shots for Hep C treatment. So these kids snuck dope in, and the only needle they had access to was his Hep C needle. What? Oh my God.
Right. I know I had went in a pharmacy one time and was standing in line, and the guy in front of me was obviously what he was buying the needles for. And the girl was trying to give him a hard time. I'm like, just let him buy his needles and go. It's none of your business.
My God. So what he's saying here is that this guy had Hep C. So they deliberately, knowing that, gave themselves Hep C just as a way to get high, just so they could get high. They had to, right?
Yeah. Yep. The only needle they had, they shared it, and it had Hep C.
Yeah.
They knew it. They knew it.
Oh my God, Wise Guy TV. That's one of the sickest things I've ever fucking heard. Let me take a picture of this comment because I want to show this to Shanna later. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable that they would use that needle knowing it was infected with Hep C, but they wanted to get high, so they did it anyway. People know now that there's cures for Hep C, so that's probably what they were thinking too. Well, this guy's getting interferon anyway, you know.
Yeah,
Crazy, crazy. Hey, Mike
unbelievable.
Fleming.
Switzerland prescribed heroin injections, safe heroin. Yeah, there you go. Yep. A Wise Guy TV, about 7 to 8 people used that kid's used needle so they could get high. Crazy shit. That's fucking, I can't believe that. And I mean, they were in rehab, so they were already probably detoxed, but they still wanted to get high that bad. Holy fuck, man. That's insane. To sit down with Jeff Nadeau, it's a shame in our country we'd never give a thought to full legalization, just like you're talking about. All that comes and regulation takes all the position out, leads to rehab for many. I'm not sure what you meant by that one line there, but yeah. Yeah. They should, at the very least, this country needs to take some of these resources that they use building jails for nonviolent fucking drug offenders, because that's the majority of the prison population in this country, and put that money into putting rehabs and detox centers all over the fucking country. At the very least, that's what they need to do. I don't think full legalization is an option. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But
no, but there should be more resources instead of throwing people in jail for it and locking them away forever. Get them help.
Yeah, absolutely. FBS, that's how I lost my leg. My God, I always forget that about Chris. He did. He lost his leg.
Oh, Chris.
I'm sorry, man. I mean, that's you got a constant reminder now, maybe that happened to keep you alive because, people forget real easily how bad their addictions were. I mean, and that's why I used to do it all the time. I always had like there was many, many times, I'll say it happened on a regular basis where I would get so fucked up that the next morning I was like, no more. I'm done. A night like that, I will never forget. It was so bad. I was in a blackout. I woke up. I don't remember anything. I did a bunch of crazy shit. I'm done. No Coke, no alcohol today, none tomorrow, and none ever again. By 6 o'clock that night, I was doing lines and drinking, because you forget. It's like, oh, I feel a little better now. I'm all right. Sometimes I guess you need a reminder.
Yeah.
Something that makes it so you'll never forget.
Yeah. All right, FBS, I'm going to jump down into the chat.
All right. Thank you for coming on.
All right.
All right. Bye, Miss Can't Be Wrong. That's the one and only legendary Miss Can't Be Wrong. My right hand, my buddy. Let's see here. Wise Guy TV, Mafia History and True Crime. I don't know why I decided that time to shout out your whole title. I'm not sure, but I did. People don't want to be sick, so they'll do things they never do. Sober, basically, once it gets you, but you got to be strong enough to take that first step. Yeah. People, let me read it again so I get the whole thing. People don't want to be sick, so they'll do things they never do, basically. Do sober, basically. Oh, yeah. As far as using dirty needles and stuff like that, or fucking motor oil to shoot up with, or piss, or whatever it is. Yeah, without a doubt. They don't want to be sick. They're already in so much pain, most likely. They're already dope sick. Once it gets you, but you got to be strong enough to take that first step. Yeah, you do, man. I give props to you and anybody else who's recovering from that shit, man. I always minimize my issues when it comes to opioid addicts or opiate addicts issues, because it's like I said, man, there's just something about that drug that I feel like it never leaves your mind. No matter how long you've been clean and sober, you never forget that feeling and you always crave it. So props to you guys. Is that right, Alex? Xylazine withdrawal is so violent, people like me leave hospitals because they have nothing to stop the withdrawal. Oh, is that right? Is that what the problem is? I don't know. See, I got to school myself on all this. So xylazine, there's nothing to it's not like with like there's Librium for alcohol or methadone or Suboxone for heroin. There's nothing, huh? Holy shit. Jesus. I'm going to watch some stuff about this today. I want to learn more about all this shit. And, you know, Shanna, I told Shanna, you know, she could join any addiction or recovery show she likes because you got to remember, this is her field. You know, she's done every type of nursing, but she prefers drug and alcohol treatment. And that's what she's worked in for a long, long time. I don't know that her new job will be that. Most likely not, but eventually she'll find someplace again, you know, to work in that field because that's her passion, you know. So she knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. I know alcoholism and cocaine addiction, you know. Other than that, I don't know that well. Thank you for joining, Mike Fleming. Wise Guy TV. Matter of fact, yeah. Right, those kids were all fully detoxed, has weeks in clean and still used it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. That's insane. Like you're already, but that's what I mean about, you know, like once I'm out detox from alcohol, every single time I've been detoxed from alcohol, one time, the first time, I was probably a year or two before I used again. The second time, it might have only been, I'll say 6 months. The third time, I kept doing cocaine after I got out of the hospital, but alcohol, I don't think I drank. It probably wasn't even that long, months, maybe. I remember when I had the 10 to 15% ejection fraction and I was doing coke. And one night I did too much with my heart being like that. So I decided, you know, I had no choice but to drink to calm myself down. And I drank myself into a stupor, into a fucking walking blackout. Well, I don't know that I was walking, but you know what I mean. The next day, I remember calling my daughter's mom and telling her, I'm going to die. There's no way I can survive this. You know, my heart is too weak and I can't stop using this shit. And I'm going to die. You know, it's just, I don't think I'm going to make it through the day. That's how I felt. But once you get me detoxed, like, especially if I'm in a facility, you ain't getting me to drink. It just is not happening. That's the way I am, you know, but that's alcohol. Now, some people, they love I talk about that all the time, the mental versus the physical addiction. You could take the physical addiction part away by detoxing somebody. Now they're no longer physically addicted, but that mental thing, it always stays there. So some people, I'm sure it happens all the time. People drink in rehab. The first opportunity they get. Me? Nah, man. I couldn't imagine doing that, but that's why I say that drug is so much different. It's so fucking powerful, man. In their minds, there's a piss. Jesus. In their minds, there's a possibility that they won't get it, which is sick. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, they actually somehow believe that they'll be okay. I don't know how. I actually agree with Jeff N about full legalization. Oh, of course, I do too, but I know it's never going to happen. You know, it's never going to happen. It's big business. It's big business. They want people selling drugs. They want them to make all this money so they can take it. You know, they do asset forfeiture and everything else and asset seizure, you know, and keep people's property and especially that cash. They love it. Listen, how are they going to get that extra cash from all these people? They let the drug dealers do it. Then they take it from the drug dealers. Then you got the fucking the court system. You're going to have to pay for that, for your fucking case, fines and costs and everything else. Then you go to fucking you go to a prison and you know, that between, you know, the different types of industry that's in prison, like, you know, they have people manufacturing things. They have contracts with companies where the fucking prisoners manufacture a certain product that's, you know, if they used actual regular employees who are out on the streets, they'd have to pay them 5 times as much. You know, they have contracts with these prisons for cheap labor, and the prison makes a fortune. The prison might pay you $2 an hour, if that, and they're getting $10 an hour for your ass. And there's a ton of people in the prisons doing these jobs. Then there's just the money prisons get from the government for housing you. There's money in that. Then when you leave prison, there's probation. Better believe you're paying to be on probation. If you got to be on house arrest, you're paying to be on house arrest, paying a lot more than it actually costs them to put you on it. Then you got to do, if you got drug charges, you're going to have to do mandatory drug and alcohol counseling. There's money in that. It's such a huge industry, not to mention, what it might do to the pharmaceutical industry. They won't even legalize marijuana because it would not destroy, but it would put a huge dent in the profits of the pharmaceutical industry. That's why they grease these Republicans' pockets and shit. And, I think I just heard that Trump took $14.9 million from Big Pharma for his campaign. $14.9 million. So they do stuff like this, to make sure that this stuff stays illegal and that the sentences are, as stiff as possible. That's not just obviously the pharmaceutical industry. That's the private prison corporations and every fucking thing else. They grease these politicians to get their fucking make these sentences as long as possible. So there's so much money in the drug business for the government that they'll never legalize it. Even though, you would think that they could tax it and make just as much, if not more, but apparently not, because if they thought legalizing it and taxing it would be more profitable, they would do it. They would do it. But the drug business drives the crime rate and fills those prisons. You know what I mean? That's exactly what it does. I don't know why they want it that way, other than, of course, the profit. But if you legalize drugs, the crime rate would drop substantially in no time. In no time. In their minds, oh, that one I read. Methadone don't work for it. It's a sedative, horse trank. God almighty. Oh, I appreciate that, Mike. Chris Archilla, from what I'm hearing, Suboxone works way, way better, but depends on the person. Chris Archilla, Miss Methadone works for xylazine, I meant. Or Methadone don't work for xylazine, I meant. I'm on methadone maintenance. It works better than Suboxone for me. Suboxone is only a partial antagonist. Gotcha. FBS, you've done incredibly well in a short amount of time with no relapses. That's impressive. Thank you, Miss Can't Be Wrong. I refuse to ever go back there. Don't get me wrong, though. Tragedy strikes and I can't tell you what'll happen. Life is life, man. I could lose everything tomorrow. My mom could pass. Shanna might decide to leave me because God almighty, why is she with me to begin with? You know what I mean? I might get my channel taken down and basically lose my job. A whole bunch of things could happen. And if that were to take place, I can't tell you that I wouldn't just even voluntarily say, fuck it, I'm going back to getting high and selling drugs and drinking and everything else. But I like to believe that I'm to the point where I'll be able to handle tragedy differently. But again, if I had nothing to live for, I probably wouldn't feel like there's any reason to stay clean and sober. I don't know. Suboxone is better for people with just a tab addiction, but Suboxone, people sell their scripts and are fucked for the month. Methadone, you have to go daily, so you can't screw it up. Then you earn takeouts. I heard about the whole takeouts thing. I know about that. My friend Nate, I'm gonna tell you something. York County Prison. My friend Nate. Now, when I say friend, we weren't tight. Like I knew him from West York going back to when I was in the mid 90s, late 90s. He was with a different crew, really, but certain people in those crews, the guys and girls, shit like that. So we all knew each other. They would get together. You know what I'm saying? So we all knew each other. Even being from different neighborhoods. But this kid was in the county the same time as me, and we both wound up I wound up in work release. He wound up in minimum security, which is the same building. It's the same building. Minimum security. Some of them are allowed to get a job. Some of them aren't. Like if you had a gun charge, they might put you in minimum after a while of being well behaved and stuff, but you can't work. No violent offenders can, can be on work release. But you can leave the building for certain reasons. And this kid, Nate, was the first guy. This was in 2016, 2017. This is the first guy that got a court order that York County Prison must allow him to go to the methadone clinic every day. Unbelievable. And this kid, every single morning, like about 8 o'clock, he was allowed to leave the jail, hop on a bus, go to the methadone clinic, and then come back every single day. Unbelievable. So, I learned a little bit through him. Suboxone is better. I read that one. Opiates are a different type of animal when it comes to addiction, but you shouldn't feel like I got to minimize your situation. You went through hell, no doubt about it. No, I feel you. Yeah. I have this, listen, Wise Guy TV, I got a lot of shit going on in my head. I have a lot of survivor's guilt because so many of my friends died who I actually saw as better people than me. You know what I mean? Or at least, how the fuck could I still be here and this guy is dead? It just, I have a lot of survivor's guilt because a lot of people in my life have died, been killed, suicides, drug overdoses, car crashes, you name it. So I'm that way about a lot of things. And when it comes to the drug and alcohol addiction, I always feel, I feel a lot of different ways. Like I've told you guys, even alcoholism, it's the worst possible addiction you can have in this world because it's so readily available. It's so socially acceptable. You know what I mean? And the withdrawal will kill you. Once you're physically addicted, you'll die if you don't get medical treatment right away. But the thing with me, man, and I've said this so many times, is I always drank for a purpose. Like I didn't drink just because I love to drink. Never, ever, ever. First, I started drinking as a way of self-medicating depression. Then it was because I was doing so much coke. I'd use it to bring me down. I would, go through a rough breakup and I'd be drinking and just to get through that, there was always something, but I was never, ever a guy who in my normal life, when I wasn't addicted to alcohol, never did I come home from work and crack a beer or I couldn't wait to the weekend so I could go out drinking or, it just wasn't me. Drinking when I wasn't addicted and I was just doing it recreationally was just that. It was like a social thing. Oh, my girlfriend at the time, young college girl. Okay, we'll go to the bar. I'll drink, whatever. But there's the majority, I think, of alcoholics are addicted to drinking. They love it. They love it. They can't wait till 5 o'clock every day or whenever they get off work to go home and start drinking, and they drink till they go to bed. They can't wait to the wedding this weekend or the fucking party or the nightclub or the bar, wherever they're going, whatever they're doing. Just everything is a reason to drink. They love drink. They'll never miss a cookout just because there's drinking there. There's going to be alcohol there. That type of alcoholic has a much harder time staying clean and sober than me. Once you physically detox me, I could do without it. You know what I mean? And the only reason I'm going to use it again is if I wind up doing some coke. And I don't plan on doing that. So, I have guilt over that too. That I feel like my recovery is easier for me than other people's may be for them. And I know what you're saying. I don't minimize. I went through hell so many times. I mean, alcohol withdrawal, you just watch a documentary about it. Watch some episodes of Intervention. It is excruciating pain, and you would give anything just to have your heart stop, just to die, to make the fucking pain go away. You're wishing for death. And I've gone through it many times. Look what I've done. I mean, DUIs, jail, house arrest, the psych ward. Okay. Being medically induced into a coma, critical condition, intensive cardiac intensive care, ruining my heart, giving myself congestive heart failure, all these things, and a number of other health problems. I went through hell without a doubt, but I can sit here every day for the most part without even thinking about alcohol or cocaine. It doesn't even cross my mind. Every now and then. The other night, I went to pick up a pizza at a restaurant that I've never been to. It was out in Marietta. Okay, I didn't know it was actually just like supposed to be like a pizza joint, and it's a chain of them, right? And every one of these restaurants, is just that. It's just a pizza joint. There's a few tables. It's mainly a pickup place more than anything else. It's not really a dine-in type of place, So I went to this one because it was the only one open later than the others. I went into Marietta and I picked up the pizza, but when I went in there, I had to wait a few minutes, and I see that they sell alcohol, and there's booths and stuff. It's a real restaurant rather than just a pizza joint. So I'm looking around, me, I'm curious. And I see all the coolers, and I'm looking in there, and it's like I see Corona and Modelo and all my old favorite. I wasn't a beer person, but I had some favorite beers, And I'm looking in there, and I'm like, oh. And then I look back, and I see there's a fucking bar in there. There's just a couple of people sitting in there, and I was like, I could just go over there and sit there and have a drink if I want, But I didn't do it. There are times like that, but in my everyday life, I don't think about it. It's not a problem for me to not use. Whereas people, when it comes to opiates, like I said, man, the way it's been described to me is that feeling that you first had the first time you used stays stuck in your head for fucking eternity. And the cravings are out of control. You constantly want it. You're thinking about it all the time. I don't know if that's true. You could tell me, Wise Guy TV, but that's the way it's been described to me. So I don't try to minimize my shit. I'm just a fair person, and I'm willing to say that what I've been through and what I may be going through in my recovery, in my mind, is still not as bad as what you guys go through. To sit down with Jeff Nadeau, you are so right. Won't ever happen. Too much money in crime. Oh my God. The whole fucking, listen, this country needs crime. This country needs the drug business. That's just the way it works. And the drug business is such a huge cause of crime. First of all, drug dealers robbing each other, killing each other. That's common anywhere you go. Drug addicts committing every type of crime under the sun, either because they're high or because they need to get high. Everything from petty shit like shoplifting and trying to cash phony checks to rape to armed robbery. Because I'm talking about people that do stuff not just to get drugs, but because they're on drugs. Okay, armed robbery. That's why I mentioned rape. Armed robbery. If I said robbery, I believe armed robbery as well. Two different things. Burglary, fucking, you name it. All types of fraud. I knew a couple of heroin addicts that they had a whole scheme going on with credit cards. They were committing all types of credit card fraud. They wound up going to the feds. I knew people I knew a guy that tried to counterfeit money and got caught. A lot of the crime rate is driven by the drug business and drug addicts. So, and they're a part of the drug business, So, the crime rate would drop substantially, and There would be prisons closing up. God forbid they built as many colleges and universities as they did fucking prisons every year in this country. Holy shit. Imagine what it would be like, how great it would be. How many more people would have educations and opportunities and everything else, but they don't care about that. They don't care about people. That's why I always say people who fight over the politics and shit and actually really get mad at each other, it's absurd. They don't care about us. They don't. It's all about profit and power. That's all it is. So, you know, I just don't. I when I see something like even Oxy, the way it got out of control. You know, I watched a documentary about like West Virginia, like up in the mountains and shit, and the people that live there, and how Oxy use is so rampant. Like it's every fucking where. Everybody uses it. Everybody is a dope addict. Everybody. And they're dying left and fucking right from overdoses and shit. Kids, adults. Check out a documentary. There's several about the mountains of West Virginia. And that's why they started calling it hillbilly heroin, Oxy, because of people like that. And they even said, like, there's no help for us. Nobody wants to help us. They want to lock us up. And if we die, we die. They don't care. And it's like, of course, they don't. That's why I start to wonder, and I'm no conspiracy theorist, but is this some form of population control? Just like putting heroin, placing it specifically in certain neighborhoods. That's what they did. The government, the mob worked together, and they placed heroin. Watch the movie Panther in certain neighborhoods because they wanted to kill off as many black people as possible, especially with everything the Panthers were doing at the time. Okay, they figured not only will they die from overdoses and everything else, they'll kill each other over it. You know, so it feels like Oxy in this shit is placed in certain communities to kill off the people there. You know, it really seems that way. And when you watch stuff like this, you know, you'll really start to believe it. Like, I always used to say, you know, once it spreads out to the suburbs, it becomes an issue. But not with what we've seen over the last 10, 15 years. Now it seems like even there they want it, you know, they want it there too. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Rehab only gives people the tools, but you really have to want to stop for rehab to work. A lot of people in rehab are there for probation. Oh my God, yeah. I told you the rehab I was in, there was nobody there for probation because it was not that type of place. It was a luxury place, but everybody there except for me, I was the only one who walked in those doors, you know, on my own. You know what I mean? As a choice I made. You know, I decided to go to rehab. Everybody else, there was a guy named Greg I told you about. This guy was a multi-millionaire, knew Trump, worked on Wall Street his whole life, made $10 million in 1 year once. You know, I got charitable foundations set up, everything else loaded. His wife kept sending him to rehab. Before it was his wife, it was his business partners and people he worked with. Every time he went to rehab, he was forced, and he was in 12 rehabs before, you know, that particular visit to Clarity Way. And that was, I think, his third or fourth time in there. There was one woman, this is no shit. Her name was Dawn, super rich. She owned like an Ollie's type of situation. She owned warehouses, and she would, you know, buy millions of dollars worth of all types of merchandise in bulk and then sell it to stores like Ollie's and Burlington and places like that, you know. Her husband forced her to go. Well, while she was in rehab, her husband's alcoholism got so bad, so much more out of control that she said, before I leave here, you're coming here. Now I want you to go to rehab or I'll leave you. No bullshit. And the day she left, he checked in. There was everybody there was forced by somebody. There was another woman who was forced by her husband, who I was very close with. There was a girl named Savannah who was there when I got there. Her parents put her there. Okay. She got out about after maybe a week and a half into my stay. And probably a week before I left, they brought her back. There was another woman who was put there by her kids. Another, she was, her husband died, mega wealthy. Husband died in a car crash, left her $12 million. And she went out of control on drugs and alcohol because of his death and everything. And her kids forced her there. So, and I told you guys, I kept up with most of the people from Clarity Way when I left. And everybody I had kept up with, most of the people that were in my group, that were there when I was there, everybody I kept up with had relapsed since they left there, except for me. And it's because of what you just said. I really wanted to stop. They didn't. So if you don't want to stop, I mean, listen, the one woman who I was very close with, she lost her son to an overdose about 2 years before, her husband, basically forced her to go into rehab herself. And she told me straight up, she said, Chris, I'd rather die than live with the pain of losing my son. And she got very close to me because she told me that I resembled her son. And the night that I did my, I forget what they call it when you leave rehab, coin out or whatever it's called, she showed me a picture of her son and I did look like him, and she was like a mother figure to me in there. I loved this woman till this day. I love this woman. And, she helped me get through that stay in rehab and I helped her, but she wanted to keep drinking. It was basically like, okay, put me here. When I get out, I'm drinking again. That's it. So you have to want it. You have to. Meanwhile, if they legalize it, they could tax it. Selling through pharmacies would still get money. Yeah, but I think it's kind of like what's going on with fucking weed, like in New York and stuff. Like the taxes are so high, people just go to dealers any fucking way. You know what I mean? Like the tax is so high, I should say. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm assuming, I don't know. You tell me, what would an eighth cost in New York legally versus if you bought it off the street from a dealer? I'm curious. $2. I think I was making maybe 48 cents. Yeah, that's why I said not even $2. Yeah, no way. $2 would be, people in prison would kill to get $2 an hour. See, Dux was making 48 cents. I'm curious as to what you were making, what you were manufacturing, Dux. Thank you, Chris Archilla. Every relapse is so much worse. 5 years is great, FBS. Cool hearing your story. Thank you, Chris, man. I appreciate it. I'll thank you for that, Mike. I think personally she got the short end of the stick. I think she is an unbelievable woman. Me, I'm okay, But thank you for saying that. When I was in jail, they didn't do that. It was torture. Now, if you're in a program like methadone, they give inmates their medicine. Well, that's why. Yeah, that's why. I guess at that time they just didn't have it in the prison. I'm assuming now that the doctors or nurses in the prison can give you methadone, right? That's what you're saying, basically. Yeah. It surprised the shit out of me, but whatever this kid Nate did to convince that judge ordered York County Prison to do that, which is crazy because I was on benzos prescription when I had to go to the county and I had a report date. So I called them and I said, listen, this is my situation. I've been taking 4 milligrams of Ativan for years now. I don't want to go through withdrawal. Can I have Ativan in the prison? Can I get that as part of my meds? They said, absolutely not. It's a narcotic. No way. They said, this is what will happen when you get here. If you're addicted to benzos and you tell us that, you're going to go to the medical unit, whatever, and you're going to just suffer. You know what I mean? We got some things that'll help you, but you're going to suffer through it. And that's why I was put in a position where I had to start weaning myself down over the next couple of weeks, which is hard to do with benzos. You can't wean yourself down that quick. And then once I was in work release, maybe I had some stuff at work that every now and then just to, maybe, who knows? But I got through it. So it's crazy. They let this kid go get his methadone, but you couldn't continue your Ativan in there. They just ain't having it. Shit, give me that bid right now and I'll take it. Sounds like a vacation though. You talking about what? The Nate kid, his bid, or are you talking about my shit? My rehab stay, I'm not sure. By bid, you're obviously talking about jail. Mostly furniture, gotcha. What do you mean Shannon needs a wrench? How does Shannon not have a wrench? Hold on, guys. Bear with me a second. How's that possible? Something happened. If she don't have a wrench, something happened. Let me just see here. She's a managing moderator. Shannon is a managing moderator. As far as a standard moderator, I mean, she has to be. How is she not on the list? Wait a minute, of standard moderators. Maybe she is. Hold on. How the fuck is that possible? If she's a managing moderator, she has to have a wrench, right? Oh, recovery tube. Gotcha. Well, I can't do that just yet, but I will. Because I don't exactly know how. I don't know how to switch to that specific channel. I'll do it. No matter the tragedy, I assure you, relapse makes it worse. Please, guys, be strong. Yeah, Tom knows. I agree, man. You can't win that way, unless you're to the point where it's like, well, I don't know. I guess if you made the conscious decision to kill yourself, which I don't recommend to anyone, because I'll tell you why. Because my story, and other people like me, if there's one thing I'm proof of, it's that your entire life could turn around over fucking night by simply meeting someone. You know what I'm saying? This woman right here says everyone deserves a chance and the opportunity for a better life. Absolutely, my beautiful wife. Yeah. If I told you, if I hadn't met her, I don't know. But that's the thing about life. You never give up, because no matter how bad things are, a person can enter your life, or an opportunity or something like that, and now you got a brand new life, and you'll be thankful every day that you didn't end your life. I think about my friends. I had one friend named Derek. When we were 16, he killed himself, and it was over a girl. He called all of us up. It was a big group of friends, and he asked each one of us individually to come over and hang out, but we were all busy. It's like a Friday night, and his next call was to his brother, Gabe, and he said, "Bro, I need you to come over in 20 minutes. I got something I want you to see," and his brother found him that way. And I think about him and my man Freddie. I dropped him off on Christmas Eve. He shot himself in the head with a .357, and my friend Derek, who was having a problem with opiates, so he hung himself, and so many others. Like, if only somebody could have showed them their future, I guarantee there would have been something in their future that would have made for a good life. Like if somebody would have showed me that I'd be here today, if I just got clean, I would have gotten clean a long, long time before I did. And I think about those people, that took their own lives. And it's like, you have no idea what could have happened a day later, a week later, a month later, maybe 10 years later, to turn your life around. That's why I say, unless you're in a situation where you I don't know. you're in such agony that you can't take it anymore. Because I don't judge people for that. If I'm not in your shoes, I can't say what I would do or I wouldn't do. But if you have any possibility of salvaging, your life and going on, it's a bad decision. If you just stay strong and you keep moving, I assure you, you'll be glad that you did. You'll be glad that you did. Alcohol and benzo withdrawal you could die from. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. I went through benzo withdrawal a little bit, not the jail time, another time. I had been taking 2 milligram Xanny bars every day for like 3 months, and that's enough for withdrawal. And I'll tell you this, it maybe in the long run it compares, but not in the beginning. Like I remember when I first started going through withdrawal, I was at work and all my muscles were cramped and I was rubbing my back on the wall, doing everything I can to get like these knots out of my muscles. I had a female supervisor that I used to have, her name was Treva. I used to have her give me what she probably shouldn't have been doing, but I would have her massage my shoulders and shit because it was so painful. Then when I'd get off work in the morning, I would go to the gym where they had the massage chairs, for your legs and everything. And I would just sit there and use the massage chair to try to, make my muscles feel better. It was miserable. And there were some other symptoms as well. But, when you compare it to alcohol withdrawal, where you'll die in a matter of hours, possibly, or have a massive stroke or a massive heart attack, alcohol still, I think. But then again, there's people that me and Shannon knew that, that were on, one guy was on, I believe it was Xanax for 20 years. Was agoraphobic, had PTSD, and he was in there. Like I said, it was either 3 or 6 months he had to be there, and it was a long, drawn-out process getting him off. Getting him through to withdrawal and everything, the Xanax. And it wound up costing him somewhere between like 250 and 300 grand, the whole thing. Jesse, prisons only give methadone for people who are already on the methadone program outside. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the reasons I think the judge ruled for my friend Nate, is because you can't just throw him in prison now when he's been on this methadone maintenance forever and take it from him. It could be a bad situation. That type of alcoholic doesn't think they have an issue. Yes, you're right. And I was the same way. It wasn't until I woke up one day and I was so fucking sick, I really thought I was dying until I took a drink, and then it all went away. Up until that day, I didn't realize that I had a problem, at least not one that severe. I thought I was fine. So what? I drank. Who cares? No, man. When that happens, now now you're a slave to it. Now, if you don't keep doing it, you will fucking die, or you got to check yourself in somewhere, which, just like most addicts, it's the last thing you want to do and the last thing you're going to do. New beginnings with Shanna. When you realize and hear firsthand who people really are and their life stories, it opens your heart and mind. People who suffered or are suffering with addiction and alcoholism are some of the... I know she finished that somewhere. Nicest, caring, and broken people I've ever met. The most normal people, the people that want to find a way out, that either don't know how to stop or don't believe they deserve anything better. Very well said, my beautiful wife. Yes. And she knows, I know stories. I mean, Shanna has saved lives. Shanna sat and talked with kids who are going to check themselves out or just walk out of rehab, and she talked them into staying. She told them my story, and she convinced them that things will get better. I know of it for a fact, So it's just another reason I'm so proud to call Shanna my wife. Wise Guy TV, I know what you're saying, FBS. Makes sense. With me, I knew I was at the end of my using heroin when I got to the point I was using against my own will. I didn't even want to, but had to not be sick. Yeah, bro, same shit. Exactly. Exactly. When you realize, wait a minute, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not getting drunk or getting high anymore. Now I just have to do this shit to be able to function. I can't even get out of bed or stop heaving and vomiting, throwing up, fucking sweating, shaking, unless I take a fucking, not just a drink, however much it takes you. You know what I mean? For that shit to go away. That's when you realize now I'm in a world of fucking trouble. And, you know, the first time that happened to me, like I said, I actually went from drinking a fifth to a half a gallon of vodka every day for a year. I decided, because a girlfriend gave me an ultimatum, okay, I'm done today. I went to a friend's apartment. He doesn't drink, so I figured there'll be no alcohol, no temptation. And I suffered in ways I can't even tell you for 12 hours until I had that fucking seizure. So after that, I learned about detox and stuff like that for alcoholics and the DTs and, you know, all the shit you go through and the fact that you can't just quit. And once you're physically addicted, there's nothing that's going to take it away because you will not be able to stop drinking. It's like, oh, well, I'll just stop. I see that I'm physically. No, it's too late by that point. You can't stop. So, I forget what my point was, but I guess just that, you you start to realize that this isn't a choice anymore. I can't just be normal all day and then maybe go out at night or go drinking with some friends. Or no, you will need to drink. The minute you wake up, you'll need to start and you'll have to go the rest of the day. I think my point was that the next couple of times I knew it. See, the first time I didn't realize what alcohol withdrawal was. Now obviously once I quit and I started suffering before that seizure, I knew. But I didn't know up to that point, because I would not have ever tried to quit cold turkey if I did. The second time I went through it, soon as I started getting the shakes, my hands were out of control like this, I knew. And then the symptoms get worse and worse. Everything gets more and more severe. Third time, same fucking thing. So you just, you have to know that you, one way or another, if you plan on quitting, you're going to need to be hospitalized or you're going to die, and I never voluntarily detoxed. The second time I detoxed in the psych ward at York Hospital because I was committed there, involuntarily, you know what I mean? And I had no choice. The third time, I went in for my heart issue. They found out I had heart failure and they detoxed me while I was in there. I was in there for 12 days that time in intensive care, critical condition. I never, because addicts will never voluntarily detox. Some maybe, but it's very, very rare. I knew one friend, my friend Dora, she at one point locked herself in a room literally for 5 days. Until she sweated everything out and got through it. And I know we've had a couple of people on here who have spoken about doing something like that, but it's not common. It's very rare to see a person say, okay, I'm going to detox voluntarily. At least for dope, maybe more so, but not for alcohol. You know what I mean? It's just not something you're going to see. Shit was hella depressing. I bet, bro. The cravings definitely subsided after time. Using dreams, though, will occur after years of sobriety. Those are the worst. Oh, my God. I still have them to this very day. So I'm sure with dope, it's the same thing. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. That means a lot to me, bro. Opiates are the worst and definitely have the highest relapse rate. Oh, yeah, no doubt. Wise Guy TV, you're right, FBS. The cravings are horrible. And most people, it doesn't leave their brain For most people, I think you meant. I'm lucky in the sense I think a switch flipped and I stopped romancing the drug and started hating it. That's I'm glad that happened to you, bro, because you wouldn't be, most likely you wouldn't even be alive today. But if you were, you wouldn't be doing as well as you are. So I'm glad that switch flipped, because that's what it takes. It's the same thing when I woke up in the hotel that day with that girl. I was suffering and I was confused, and I didn't know what had gone on for days, and I found out I missed all this work, and it was so confusing, and I was so physically sick at the same time. I said, that's it. I'm either going to kill myself in this hotel room or I'm going to rehab. And I wasn't, at that point ready to do the first option. So I went to rehab, and I mean, if my story isn't inspirational, I don't know what the fuck is. I went in there at rock bottom, and I came out doing a lot better. And within months, I was, thriving. I was doing great. I had a new woman in my life. I was still working. I was, I had started to, heal from all the damage, and I was getting my appearance and everything else back together. And I was in a stable living situation. And, I was starting to repair broken relationships, or at least trying to. Sometimes all it takes is that decision, but if you never make the decision to get better, you'll never get better. You never will. Your life will be very, very short, and people won't remember you the way you want to be remembered. They'll remember you for that junkie or that alcoholic or whatever it may be. That's not how you want to be remembered, especially by your loved ones. Whenever you die, you want to die with them proud of you. And that's how I'm going to die whenever it happens. Majority of friends I grew up with have all died. My best friend died 2 years ago, all from fentanyl. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Mine, fentanyl, well, Shanna lost what was basically like a son to fentanyl. And I believe the anniversary of his death was just, I believe, 2 days ago, 4 years. Very horrible situation for the people that don't know. Her son at the time was using drugs with his best friend, who Shanna, again, practically raised as her own. I don't want to upset Shanna in here, but I'm sure she would want me to tell you this. She's talked about it on her own show when she had one. Her and, his son and his best friend, Devin, went and got some pills, and they went back to my stepson's dad's house, and they got high in the bedroom. They took the pills, and they both passed out, and Jarrett woke up, and Devin was dead next to him from fentanyl. So, me, may he rest in peace, by the way, Devin. Me, I'm just from a different era, you know what I mean? And even though fentanyl started becoming big years and years ago, I was never around people who used dope, really. You know what I mean? I really wasn't. I was a couple here and there, but my era, people didn't use dope. They used coke. Some of them even smoked crack, and everybody smoked weed. But nobody really did dope. So I lost a few people from heroin overdoses. I don't know if any of them involved fentanyl. Because like I said, and those people weren't part of my inner circle. They really weren't. Nobody from my inner circle ever died from heroin or fentanyl or anything. They just didn't use it, I feel like that's, the younger generations that have really dealt with, or had to deal with the fentanyl, have had to deal. Sorry, I fucked my words up. So I don't know. My friend Joe, he died in the bathroom with a needle in his arm from a heroin overdose. I don't know if there was fentanyl. There was another kid. I can't remember this kid's name. I didn't know him well. I was at a bar one night, and he said, that he knew me, and I couldn't place him, but he named a couple of people. So I called those people and they're like, oh yeah, he's cool. He's cool. They told me some things about him. So we sat drinking at the bar, and then he wanted to come back to my crib, just to whatever. He wasn't doing dope at the time. He was off it, but he wanted to get some coke and shoot it. You know what I mean? So he came back to my crib. I didn't let him shoot no coke at my crib. He hung out for a little while, and I told him, you go do that shit somewhere else. This is where my daughter lives, not happening. So she wasn't there that night, of course, but so he left, and 2 days later he was found dead from heroin. And he told me, he goes, Chris, I can't stay off it. I can't. He said, I have everything, or had everything. He had his own business. He had a daughter he loved and adored, who was only a toddler at the time, maybe 2-3 years old. And he lost his business, and he wound up living with his mom, and his daughter was taken from him. And he told me, he goes, even with all that stuff, I can't stop. I could stop for a little while if I detox, and I go right back to it. I can't stop. And so he died. And I had that one friend who killed himself. Like I said, he was part of my inner circle. Nobody even knew he was taking the oxy and shit. He developed a real problem with it. He was basically self-medicating depression. It wasn't even like he had any physical issues. And he just, we didn't even find out that he had the addiction until he hung himself, after that, because he left a letter, Rich or poor, addiction doesn't discriminate. No, absolutely not. There will always be bad people in the world, but people who judge you strictly on your addiction are worse. They are part of the problem. Everyone has skeletons. They are. Yep. People don't realize, how easily they could be in somebody else's situation, if they had just made a different decision at some point in their lives, or if God forbid a certain tragedy strikes them, and they decide to self-medicate, people don't know that. Nobody should judge, and nobody should listen to their judgment. Nobody. Just like they could cure cancer, but they don't. 2 reasons. 1, they would lose a lot of money. 2, population control. Exactly. Of course they could cure it right now if they wanted to. There's more money in the illness than there is in the cure. That's it. They get that money every time you got to do chemo, radiation, all this shit. Sometimes, they have people, I think quite often, they'll have people getting treatment that won't even be effective, won't even help them, and they don't even need it, but there's that money in it. That's why people get second opinions on shit. Yeah, even when it comes to cancer. So, I don't know. My friend, for instance, Shannon knows, he put off chemo because he was trying a different way, a different solution. And I kept telling him, bro, always go with medical science, but I also know that sometimes doctors lie to you a lot of the time, and everything's about money. And listen, we're in a terrible country when it comes to the medical industry. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's probably the most greedy system in the world, right here in America. You know what I mean? The fucking cost of shit. I got an MRI. It was $7,500. Why? Are you telling me it cost that much to put you in that fucking machine for a minute or two? I got a defibrillator placed under my arm. I was in the hospital maybe 3 hours, $100,000, and the device only cost $5,000. So when it comes to that, we're just America has a terrible medical system, terrible, and it's all greed. It's all based on greed and profit. So no, the money is in the illness and the treatment, not the cure. So no, they'll never cure it. You can think you're having fun until you try to stop, and then it gets serious. Oh yeah. Yep. I've never been to rehab. My brother just always told me that's the place to find new connections. Sadly enough, it can be. Shanna 100, exactly. There's always going to be those people that try to judge and never try to help. Yep. Oxy destroyed my life and put me on the path to heroin. What the government did with Oxy and this country is a disgrace. It is, man. It absolutely is. And I'm sorry to hear that that you went through that, you know. It's a shame. We called that mom dated instead of mandated in my rehab. Oh, mom dated. Yeah, like your mom put you there. Yeah. I came across a man once suffered with alcoholism. He was in a treatment center and thought it would be a great idea to say that every one of them were gutter trash, and he was not one of them. Yeah. Little did he know. Hold on, guys. Shanna called and said I was muted. I wasn't muted, right? Maybe something happened with her phone, but she continued it. Little did they know, or little did he know my story and my family's story. I lost all respect and wanted him to look in the mirror any time of day. The gutter trash are much better people than he will ever be. Yeah. People like that are fucking, you know, so it's just too common. You know, people look down their noses at other people. We even see it on the stupid mob tube all the time. People whose lives are fucked up beyond all recognition will still seem to look down their noses at other people. Well, no, you wouldn't get an email. I thought about that because I used your channel link. That's what it told me to use. And you're in there. You're all set up. I don't know why it's not working. Did you check and see if you have any new fucking powers? You should be able to control everything. I don't know. On the street is 35 to 40. He said 65 to 80. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. An eighth in a dispensary is 6. 65 to 80. Damn. On the street is 35 to 40. Yeah. See, that's the thing, you know. I don't understand why it's got to be maxed to. I guess it's to deter people from even buying it, maybe because they just didn't want to legalize it. I don't know, but it doesn't work. People are just going to go to dealers, you know. So, and let me ask you something. In like New York, any state where it's legal, is it legal to sell it? Like, could just any individual sell it? Because I wonder now, could the dealer still get caught and catch a felony delivery charge? Possession with intent to deliver? The methadone kid. Oh. I've never heard of people getting methadone in prison. Usually you're stuck in county dope sick long enough that you're over your withdrawals. Yeah, I don't know. I just know about this kid I was friends with that would go to the methadone clinic and come back. That's crazy, FBS, because I had a friend named Chris who did the same thing back in high school. Oh, fuck, man. I'm not sure which one. Text me, D. Gainey. I'm not sure which situation you're talking about. With opiates, it feels like life isn't going to ever be as good as it was when using. It's always there. It ruins everything. Yeah, that's kind of what I heard. Like, you'll always go through life feeling like it would be better with that drug in your life. I don't know. I guess everybody is different. Alcohol is usually only a 3-day detox. Benzos drag on for weeks. Oh, no, I'll just tell you, Chris, in all honesty, maybe for your average alcoholic who's semi-physically addicted, not for a severe alcoholic like me. I mean, I was in a coma. I was in the hospital for about a day and a half before they induced the coma. That's why they induced it. They were trying to get my heart rate down and they couldn't. They induced the coma. When I came out of the coma 7 days after they induced it, so I'd already been in there 8.5 days, I was seeing shadow people. I was going through delirium tremors, okay, tremens, whatever the fuck it's called. I was seeing people in the room. I kicked a nurse in the stomach because I woke up in the middle of the night and I was seeing shadow people all over the room. I felt somebody grabbing around my feet. I guess she was trying to straighten out the blanket. I kicked her in the stomach. They strapped me down, hands and feet, for the rest of the stay. They wanted to put me in the psych ward and my mom cried hysterical and begged them not to. So they just strapped me down. It takes a while, man, a while if you're very severely addicted. Even in Clarity Way, it took me probably 7 days detox before I felt anywhere near normal or better. And the psych ward, you know, that was probably 5 days. I was in there longer. I was in there 7 days, I think, but it was probably 5 days till I started to feel better. But even then, they didn't want to release me because they said, if we release you now, because they knew I was, like I said, my family told them I was going to commit suicide because I was an alcoholic. So the big thing was, we're not going to let you out until your symptoms are gone, your withdrawal symptoms, because you'll be so uncomfortable you'll relapse. Every morning they would check my hands, every morning. And I believe it was the 7th day that somehow I was able to keep my hands still enough that they sent me home. But everybody, that was the administrator of the hospital or whatever, whoever's job it is to get people in and out, quick turnover. The nurses, even one of the doctors were arguing with the guy. He can't leave yet. And the guy I didn't have insurance at the time. That's it. I was out. They don't care if you live or die. They don't care. They only care if you can pay. That's all that matters to them. I'm trying to get off Xanax right now, and it is awful. People stay away from benzos. Awful. Especially if you're taking something like that rather than like Valium or, you know, Ativan. If you're in the Klonopin Xanax territory, yeah, no. About you saying you had a friend named Derek who committed. Oh, and you had a friend named Chris. I got you. Yeah. It's a sad thing, man. And, you know, it's funny because this particular kid, like, I had no idea he was struggling. And I was in the hospital with my heart thing. And when I got out of the hospital, maybe like a week, 2 weeks later, whenever it was, I started walking around the neighborhood again. He came over and you could tell he was out of it. And he was like, he asked me if I knew anybody who could get him Oxy, you know? And I said, no. He made it sound like it was for somebody else. He was just doing somebody a favor. So I was like, you know, and I could have, but it was my friend. I don't know. Something didn't feel right. So I said, no, I don't fuck around with the pills and shit, which, you know, my neighbor across the street, I used to get him pills. When I couldn't get him pills, I would get him Suboxone. I mean, but I told the kid, Derek, you know, I said, and me and this guy go back to high school, back to 94, 95. Well, maybe 95, 96, something like that. I said, nah, bro, you know, I'm chilling right now. You know, I'm trying to get better and stuff. And he said to me, he goes, I heard you were in there for your heart. He goes, I'm having an issue too. I think he was having PVCs a lot, palpitations. He was like, I have a feeling there's something wrong with my heart, bro, but I'm afraid to get checked out. I tried to talk him into getting checked out. And, you know, 2 days later is when they found him. And you want to hear the most fucked up part? My friend Joe was a UPS driver. Okay. He was actually best friends with Derek. Me and Derek were always tight, but we weren't best friends. Him and Joe were best friends. This is a true story. Joe was a UPS driver and he was delivering. He hadn't seen Derek. Nobody had seen him in about a day and a half or so, or heard from him. He wasn't answering his phone or anything. Joe is delivering a package to the apartment complex Derek lived in West York. And he figured while he was there, let me just check on Derek. We haven't heard from him. He's pounding on his fucking door. There's no answer, but his car is sitting right there. So he's obviously there. So Joe went over to the manager's office and said, listen, we need to check on him. I have a feeling, you know, something bad happened to him. And the manager and him went up in the apartment and he was upstairs hanging in his bedroom, you know, so Crazy situation, man. Crazy. Yeah, it is, bro. I'm sure. Wake up in the morning and need a drink. Alcohol can get pretty bad for addicts. Oh my God. Not only you need a drink, Chris, I would wake up already in withdrawal. See, this is how alcoholism works when it comes to sleep. You drink whatever you drank before you passed out, however long that keeps you asleep, basically, is how long you'll sleep. That's why I would drink massive amounts of alcohol before I went to sleep. Because if you're just drinking, you're not really going overboard, you'll sleep 2 hours. As soon as that alcohol leaves your system, you go into withdrawal. So you're waking up. So I would drink massive amounts of fucking alcohol before I went to sleep. I would drink all night anyway. The first time it happened, I woke up and I swear to God, I was pouring fucking sweat. My hands were like this. Okay. I was physically a fucking mess. And then I had a couple of drinks, which I had never really drank in that early in the day. I was pretty much, I'd start drinking maybe in the evening and drink, whatever. At that point, once I was physically addicted, then it was all day, every day from morning to night. That was it. So I didn't understand what was going on. I had a couple of drinks thinking whatever was going on, it would calm me down, and it did. And it happened again, and alcohol took it away. And I realized, oh shit, that's what it is. So, but I didn't know you couldn't just stop. I thought like anything else, you can quit cold turkey. You'll just be uncomfortable. I was wrong. So that's how it was, Chris, from that day forward till I got detoxed, till I had the seizure and got detoxed. I would wake up already sick, going through withdrawal, pouring fucking sweat, vomiting, my hands shaking, my stomach's in knots, every part of your body has tremors. You could feel your insides. It feels like your insides are fucking shaking, and it's a nightmare for me to even think about, to go back to that place, and that's it. You realize you ain't getting out of bed without this. Another time, I had gone through a pretty terrible breakup, and me and the girl were still living together. It was a nightmare thing that was going on, and I had started drinking very heavily, like a couple of months before when we actually officially broke up. And I was already using a lot at that time. It's one of the reasons we broke up, I guess. And I was drinking more and more because of the breakup, and I was working at this place in York called the Valencia Ballroom. Big place, banquet center, everything. And like Sinatra performed there once and shit way back in the day in the fucking, I don't know what, 60s, 70s. I was working there, and there was a big garage, and I was a driver at the time. So I would have to unload my coolers every day. I was delivering, like hundreds of meals a day to senior centers, for Meals on Wheels, to senior centers all over, York County and Frederick, Maryland and shit. So I got back, and I was okay. I was at work that day. I was doing fine. And I was unloading my coolers, and all of a sudden, my fucking heart, it felt like somebody grabbed my heart and was ripping it out of my chest. And I grabbed my fucking chest and I collapsed, and I'm screaming. I'm like, I'm having a fucking heart attack. I'm dying. I was losing my mind. This guy, Dexter, who was a severe alcoholic, even our boss knew, he drank throughout his shift every single day. He ran into the kitchen and got this Old Crow whiskey that we used to use to cook with. And he brought it out to me, and he said, just guzzle this. And I guzzled it. And I mean, like in the blink of an eye, it all went away. And I was better. And that's how I realized that time. I was like, oh, motherfucker. Now I need the shit. And every day that you drink after that, the withdrawal gets more and more severe, to the point where there is no, even a small part of any day where you're functioning like a normal human being. You just can't. With opiates, that happens pretty quick, 3 or 4 months, and you are in a position where you're not getting high anymore, and it turns to maintenance. Yeah, that's what I hear. Wise Guy TV was cool. talking with you and hearing your story. FBS, this was a good idea for addicts around the genre to feel comfortable and know we're not alone. Thank you, man. Thank you. Me and Shanna actually started this right in the very beginning of this whole thing. So just about 3 years ago, I probably did my first addiction and recovery show maybe a week or so into creating my channel, you know. I'm just glad it helps people, man. I never thought I'd be in a position. All I ever did was hurt people, really. I never thought I'd be in a position where I could help people. So it means the world to me. I get tremors every now and then. What I hate most is being able to smell and taste scotch, seeing it on a commercial or thinking about it. Oh, yeah. No, I hear that. That's how I was the other night in a restaurant, you know. I'm looking at all the bottles, Jack Daniels, everything. You know, I even came home and told Shanna about this. I said, Shanna, I just got a little fucked up. I don't know. She said, what do you mean? I said, I went into the place. I don't want to say the name of the place. And they had, she knows what the other ones are like. They don't even sell beer in the other ones. It's a chain of you know, restaurants. I went in and there's the beer. I see the Modelo and the Corona. Then I look in the back as I see these neon lights. What the fuck? There's a little bar back there and all the bottles on the shelf. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I could just go sit down and have a big fucking glass of Jack Daniels right now. But I didn't. I brought our pizza home and we ate and watched it was either The Sopranos or a movie that night. But it got me. And it's like you say, bro, you can taste it. You can taste it. I guess it never goes away. The 17th of July. I'm sorry. I thought it was because Shanna went to the cemetery the other day to see Devin. So I thought it was a couple days ago. I'm sorry, my beautiful wife. His sister died on the 26th of June, yeah. His sister. 3 years old, I think, Shanna, drowned in a pool. So let me just tell you, I don't think it's necessary for me to express my feelings about this mother. You could imagine what I think of her. She's a true fucking piece of shit. She basically let both of her kids die just because she was too busy with her own fucking life to pay attention. So that's one of the reasons Shanna basically raised Devin. He lived in this room. This was Devin's room. Not when he died, but for years, you know, before that. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe he moved out. Shanna would have to tell you when he moved out before he died, how long it was. But this was his room. This is why, you know, there's some crazy shit that goes on in this room, I believe. You know, we've gotten pictures of things. We've used Ouija boards in here that I won't even tell you because some of you won't believe it, but I'm just telling you that we used a Ouija board one time and we were literally having a conversation with Derek because he was saying things that I had no clue about because I didn't know him. And Shanna would just start crying hysterical because she knew exactly what he was talking about. It's a lot to it, man. This room is, I believe, haunted without a doubt. Plus, this house was built in the 50s, so who knows who else passed away here. It's an old farmhouse, you know. Did your friend Joe get into a skirmish with a couple of Puerto Ricans? No, sorry, bad timing for a joke. My bad. No. My friend Angelo got into a skirmish with a couple of Puerto Ricans, but it's okay because a couple of wise guys took care of it for him. Wise Guy TV. New beginnings with Shanna. I've met people that were heroin addicts for decades. Then fentanyl came around and they overdosed and passed away. Yeah, that's really what's killing people. It's not really the dope anymore. The dope ain't shit. The dope is trash. That's why they put fentanyl in it, the motherfuckers. You know, there's a lot of competition in any city you go when it comes to drug dealers selling heroin and shit, heroin dealers. So that's what they do. They put that. That's why they started doing it. They started putting heroin in their dope, and I'm sure they still do because they want to have the best dope around. But you know, there's no way of telling how much you could put in before all your customers start dropping fucking dead. So it's a risky game to play. Sabrina Merrick, $3 super sticker. Thank you, Sabrina. This is a long addiction recovery show. It's hard for people to understand addiction if they don't have it. It's even harder for people with addiction and denial. They tend to judge more. Oh, yeah, no doubt. You can't even see comments from people. Baby, you have to, when that happens, you have to leave the live chat. Like, go back to just the video and start over. That happens to me all the time. Hell no, it's still illegal to sell, to distribute without the right paperwork. I would have to assume you could just up to 3 ounces without getting it. Possess up to 3 ounces without getting in trouble. 3 ounces is a pretty good fucking amount. You know what I mean? Damn near a QP, I'm surprised you're allowed to possess that much. Yeah, FBS, I've seen people with wet brain and detox. You're lucky. Well, the guy Shanna, I was going to say Shannon knows the guy. The guy Greg that I was telling you about, the multi-millionaire that knew Trump, and he used to show me pictures of him with Trump playing golf, out to eat at restaurants, at dinner and stuff. He had it. There's no question. He had it, and he I mean, you couldn't miss it, and it was sad because he was such a great guy, but he was in very bad shape. It's probably because she's on the Recovery Channel. Oh, Shanna, if you're watching, make sure you're on the FBS channel. That might help. If you're on the Recovery Tube channel, you probably only see 1 or 2 people, if that, in there, and that's why. Let me call Shanna. Hold on 1 second, guys. All right. Now, what happens is, this happens to me when I watch SoFlo's show. For some reason, I get notifications for the Team SoFlo channel, not El Cid 305. So I'm in the Team SoFlo channel, and there's like 5 people. And he's putting up all these comments, and I'm like, why can't I see these comments? It's because I'm on the wrong fucking channel. So that's why you always got to be in the bigger channel. It doesn't matter who's in the Recovery Tube channel because the videos are on there. I just want to make sure there's a channel that's nothing but addiction and recovery. And of course, I throw my interviews on there because I love them. And some of those interviews have, parts of them where we discuss addiction. Chris, are people who pop pills bashing alcoholics? Chris, or people who yeah. I've seen it all. Yeah, they do that. I know you're talking to you're talking to me, or you're talking to Archilla? Yeah, because that's addict superiority, I call it. Some people, no matter what their addiction is, they're better than you. You get this with alcoholics a lot because it's legal and it's so socially acceptable. Alcoholics look down on drug addicts. You know what I mean? Not even realizing they're the same thing. Alcohol's a drug. They're a drug addict. They look down, especially on people who do dope and shit, people who smoke crack. They think they're better than them. I've seen it throughout my life. What was I was going to tell you a story about something like that. Oh, I'm going to tell you something really fucked up, man. And I mentioned this story once before, I think. So either you guys never heard it or you forgot. A drug and alcohol counselor told me, because we were talking about how socially acceptable alcoholism is, when in reality, it's more dangerous, destructive, and, it's more severe as far as withdrawal and stuff than pretty much any drug out there. Okay. And it does so much damage to you physically. I told you, my heart failure, they don't attribute it to the cocaine. They attribute it to the alcohol. That's what they told me the night I was diagnosed with it. Okay. So, it's the alcohol that destroys all your organs and every fucking thing else. He told me a story about a family. There was a mother and father who had taken their kid to him for, counseling. And they told him, we think our son has a drug problem. So they had a big, like, I don't know if it was like an hour or 2 hour one-on-one, the kid and the counselor, the parents weren't in the room. And when they were done, the counselor said, well, listen, I got to tell you what's going on with your son. And, it's not good news. And the parents said, what? And he said, your son is an alcoholic. And they said, oh, thank God, we thought he was on drugs. You know why? Because they were alcoholics too. Think about how sick that is. But like I said, it's socially acceptable. I know a lot of kids who are severe alcoholics because they grew up seeing their parents drinking all fucking day, every day, or at least at nights and at events. All they ever saw was their parents drinking. They started drinking it. The type of parents who thought it was funny to give their kids a sip of beer when they were 2 fucking years old, or a little, they drop a little fucking, 80 proof, some Jack Daniels, or I think that's 100, but something like that in their tongue. They thought it was funny to do stuff like that. I have a cousin who's my uncle. He's not blood related to me, but he used to fucking do that. He used to feed my cousin, a girl, beer when she was a baby. Now, luckily, she didn't turn out to have any addiction issues, but she certainly could have. And you ask any drug and alcohol counselor or medical professional who specializes in this type of stuff, will tell you that that's where addiction begins for a lot of people. Just that little sip of beer when you're a baby, or maybe when you're 8, 9 years old, they let you have a sip of wine, or when you're 13 and 14 and they actually let you have a glass of wine at dinner, stuff like that. That's why Shanna's comment that they took and turned on her to say that they said that her son was on drugs since he was 10 years old. No, what she said is his journey to addiction began when he was 10, meaning that somebody let him try something. It was out of Shanna's control. And because of that, that's what medical professionals, that's what they'll tell you, is that the first sip of alcohol, the first hit off a blunt, the first anything, that's where your journey to addiction begins. You might try you might have a drink or two when you're 12 fucking years old and not drink again until you're fucking 18. But your journey began if you become an alcoholic with your first drink, so that's just the way it is. And I told you about a girl I used to live with yesterday named Lindsay, spoiled brat bitch, that, her parents would pay for everything and she went to school and then became nothing. She used to do that. And I used to go fucking ape shit. She would give her adorable little daughter sips of beer. And one time they gave her like a little drop of fucking vodka. Oh my God. I went fucking berserk. I went fucking insane. And it never happened again. Trust me. But I made some threats, never give that little girl alcohol again, ever. Meanwhile, I'm living with her on house arrest, her and my girlfriend on house arrest for 2 DUIs. Unbelievable. Let's just say after that day, I made it clear that, especially considering I'm on house arrest, no alcohol, period, in here. None. Yeah, you must have been pretty bad, FBS. I was bad, bro. I was really bad because there wasn't, it was vodka or rum, 80 proof minimum every single fucking day. Every day, and I'd use it to put myself to sleep at night. And once you do that, eventually you will wake up in withdrawal. You will not be able to sleep anymore without it, and you will wake up in withdrawal. And that's it. At that point, that I went too far. So that's what happened with me. Sorry, these glasses are killing my fucking ears. Fuck these glasses. Damn, these fucking things are all fucked up. Bear with me, guys. I'm not ending the show till I get through all the comments. All right. I don't like these as much as the other ones. I don't know why. I don't feel like they're the same. New beginnings with Shanna. Alcohol detox can last well over a week, and each time is different. With benzo, the mental detox can last for months. The physical withdrawals can last for several weeks. Yeah. I mean, benzos, you can literally go through withdrawal forever after you fucking, if you were severely addicted enough. Some aspect of your withdrawal, you know, some symptom of it you could have forever. I think alcohol too, probably. Shannon, is it just you and I in the recovery channel, everyone else in their other channels? See? You gotta come over here. Shanna said she don't think anybody sees her comments because she's in the wrong channel. She said, I don't think anybody sees my comments. I'm like, I'm reading them. Yeah, maybe that's why if she's not answering everybody who's responding to her, she's not seeing your comments because she's in the other channel and they don't show up there. The ones from the Fat Bald Sicilian channel won't show up over there. There are cases where people think they're done physically detoxing and then they start back up again, sometimes worse than the first couple of weeks. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Man, when I fucking left that hospital after that seizure, I went to outpatient rehab. I was in that bitch for 6 weeks. And up until the very last day, every single day, we had to sign our name. A lot of the people were there because of probation and stuff. No matter what you're there for, you got to sign your name at the end of each day. It was 4 hours a day, you know, to let, you know, so as proof that you were there. And I couldn't. My hand was like this. My hand was like fucking bouncing. I'll just bouncing off the fucking paper while I'm trying to sign my name. So she was like, you could just, any mark you could leave. So I would just, whatever I could do with my shaky ass hands that day. And that shit took, you can ask my mom, that shit took months and months and months till the fucking, till the shaking stopped. So detox can last a long time. It can last forever. Or not detox, I'm sorry, withdrawal. You know, it can. Even, look, even those drug and alcohol dreams, that's from alcohol. Or that's from, I'm sorry, I got distracted looking at something. That's from withdrawal. You know, your brain is still going through it. Still going through it. The medical system we were in was Rockefeller sponsored in the 20s to sell petroleum-based pharmaceuticals and blackball natural plant-based cures. Is that true? I didn't even know that. New beginnings with Shanna. Alcohol detox can last well over a week, and each time is different. With benzo, and mental detox can last for months. The physical. What happened here? Didn't wait a minute? Is that the one I read? I thought no, that was. Oh, I confused these two. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I learned about opiate withdrawal in county jail at 16 years old. Such a fun experience. Jesus Christ. Yeah, fuck that, bro. There was an alcoholic, and he was either York or Lancaster County Prison. It was a news story years ago. The guy, when he got there, he told them, I'm a severe alcoholic. He was going through withdrawal while he was, you know, doing intake, whatever. And they didn't care. They threw him in a holding cell, and I think it was 2 days later, he was dead. And they said the whole time he was in there, he was screaming to the top of his lungs. Other inmates and shit said it because of the pain he was in. Fucking sick. FBS, I have to run. Great show. I mean that. It was good hearing your story and hearing other stories as well. Talk to you next week. Tom, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Shanna, happy 4th. Same to you, brother. Have a good time and don't, you know what not to do. It's a holiday, but stay strong, bro. Let me get down here. When I was 2 or 3, my dad left a martini on the table. When he came back in the room, I was rolling around on the floor laughing. He realized I had drunk his MJ drunk his drink. Yeah. That's not good. That's bad, man. Listen, you know, if it's true that it's a disease and it's hereditary and everything else, the minute you give a child that substance, a trigger goes off, you know, that lasts for the rest of their lives. You've already basically predetermined their future, you know, by doing something like that. Not always in every case, but you just may have. Never give a fucking child alcohol. Never. Under any circumstances. If you want to get over cravings, start doing parasite cleansing. People think parasites are a third world deal, but I can assure you, oh, we have all of them. There's no doubt. I got to do that someday. I can never imagine giving my babies any type of alcohol or drugs, but yeah, my dad gave me sips off his beer when I was like 8, so that explains a lot. It does, man. It's a terrible thing to do to a child. And, you know, I know that people who drink, you know, like your dad was a drinker. You know, I don't know how severe, I don't know if he was an alcoholic or anything, but he was a drinker. People who drink, they just don't see alcohol the way they see a drug. Like you'll never see a fucking parent give their kids, drop a little bit of cocaine on their tongue or fucking, you know what I mean? Shoot a little dope into their arm. Of course not. That's insane, right? But alcohol, oh, it's only alcohol. No. Fuck that. Watch a motherfucker go through alcohol withdrawal and then tell me it's only alcohol. Insanity. I've had a flashback or two, FBS, from doing so much LSD in the past. Oh, yeah. I used to love acid. I didn't do it that many times, maybe 8 times my whole life, but the last time was a bad trip. Guys, listen, I'm going to go 2 hours and 14 minutes. And guess what I'm going to do? Because I want to have a day with Shanna. I'm going to start another show at 4:15. That'll be my second show of the day. So if you guys could be there, that would be great. Listen, stay strong. Stay on your road to recovery. Keep doing the right thing. Don't let anything force you into a relapse or make you ruin your own life. And keep these numbers somewhere close. National Addiction Hotline, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And continue to do the right thing, you know. And if you're struggling, if you're addicted now to something, anything, get help before it's too late, because you never know when it's going to be too late. No matter what it is you're doing, you could drop fucking dead at any time. You don't want that. Your family doesn't want that. Your loved ones. And even if it's not that, you know, you could wind up being addicted before you even know it and ruin your whole fucking life. If you're not already addicted, you know, if you're already addicted, there's only one answer, and that's treatment. That's it. That's all there is to it. So that's my advice to you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to my bullshit. I appreciate all of you in the chat participating, giving me things to talk about. It means a lot to me. We covered everything from eating disorders to fentanyl to methadone to Suboxone to rehab to detox to, you know, you name it. So it was a great show. I appreciate. Did I shout out? Hold on. Did I get? I think I did. Sabrina Merrick's $3. Thank you, Sabrina. In case I didn't, but I'm pretty sure I did. All right, guys, that's it. I'll see you on the next show at 4:15. I love you all, and until next time, salute.